we got a big one coming up tomorrow night in Las Vegas. Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Bud Crawford. They're going at it at 168, folks. This is a boxing match that we have been waiting for. It is one with so many questions that will be answered tomorrow night. I got plenty of questions. I got plenty of thoughts. This is a fight I never thought would possibly happen, but here it is. It's going to go down tomorrow night in Vegas. Canelo versus Crawford. This is a big one here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about it. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Combat Corner, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Showmont. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on this fight. Let me know your thoughts on what I got to say about this fight. I got to tell you, people, if you talked to me about this fight a year ago when they were first bringing this thing up, about the possibility of these two guys throwing down, I would have told you Bud Crawford is out of his damn mind. And I'll sit here on record and tell you, I want Terence Crawford to win. I'm a big Terence Crawford fan, but when you're talking about jumping up from 147 pounds to 168 pounds to face a guy like Canelo who hits like a sledgehammer, it is a scary proposition, even for a guy as talented and skilled as Bud Crawford is. We all saw what Crawford did against Errol Spence. He destroyed him, took him apart, pieced him apart, and just absolutely dominated him in that fight. But this is another animal altogether. Canelo is way bigger than Errol Spence. Canelo's way stronger. He's got more accolades than Spence. He's done it all in the sport, and he's still in his prime. Yeah, I said it. Canelo's still in his prime. He's still putting people out, man. He's still dominating fights. These fights that he wins are typically not all that close. I mean, outside of the loss to Dimitri Bivol, Canelo has pretty much handled business rather easily, man. He's done everything he needs to do. He's beating young fighters. He's beating older fighters. He's taken on all comers. It hasn't mattered who it's been. He has taken care of business. Crawford, same thing. Would you ever believe that Terence Crawford is 37 years old? Would you think that Canelo Alvarez is 35 years old? This isn't like the Manny Pacquiao-Floyd Mayweather fight. This is not the same thing. That fight, while we were waiting for it forever, was never the fight that we wanted. We wanted to see that fight happen probably 2 or 3 years earlier when Manny Pacquiao was mowing people down. That would have been the time to see that fight actually pop off. Instead, it pops off a few years too late, and it looked every bit the part of a fight that had a fighter who was still very, very skilled in Floyd Mayweather. And while Pacquiao was still a skilled fighter, he wasn't the same guy that he was a few years earlier. And in this particular case, you've got two guys that are still on top of everything that it is that they do. I mean, you're talking about, these are just some of the guys that Canelo has beaten in his last few fights. Edgar Berlanga, Jaime Munguia, Jermell Charlo, Gennady Golovkin. I mean, these are just 4 of his last 6 wins. The dude is still beating beasts, and I know Triple G was at the end of his rope, but Canelo won the fight. He won the fight. Now, I did think that Canelo lost the first 2 fights with Triple G, but that's another story. Quite frankly, this is the biggest fight, in my opinion, since Floyd Mayweather fought Oscar De La Hoya. And if you want to go before that, because even De La Hoya was a bit past his prime at that time, I could go back and go to the fight where we saw Bernard Hopkins fight Felix Trinidad. Like this is the type of fight that is. But this one, to me, is even bigger. It's even bigger because you have a guy jumping up 2 weight classes. Yes, his last fight was at 154 in Terence Crawford, but he's really a 47 fighter. He's really a 47 fighter. I can't say that I was tremendously impressed with his win in his last fight, but he got the job done once again. I mean, when he fought Israel Madrimov, I wasn't tremendously impressed with that fight. Could barely remember the guy's name that he fought, but it was at 54, and so he's jumping up technically 2 weight classes for this particular. But realistically, this is the 3 class weight jump. Canelo's fought at light heavyweight, for Christ's sakes. I mean, so the size of these dudes. So again, if you would ask me this question a year ago, I'd be petrified for Bud Crawford. And I think Bud Crawford's a monster. But there are weight classes for a reason. There are weight classes for a reason. However, as we've gotten closer and closer and closer to this fight, I have observed these two together. And as you watch them together, one, you see that Crawford really isn't much smaller than Canelo. He's actually, I think, taller than Canelo because I think Canelo's 5'7". He's not a tall dude, but he's so thick and strong. Whereas Crawford is a little bit leaner. However, he looks, I mean, heck, he might have the reach advantage. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I think he has that. He actually has the reach advantage, which is crazy. So he's fighting a guy who's bigger than him, yet, I mean, whose weight wise is bigger than him, but at the same time, who actually has, he actually has a reach advantage on him. I mean, Canelo's reach is 70.5 and Bud Crawford's is 75 inches. So Crawford has a length advantage. He has a height advantage. He has a reach advantage. However, that's never stopped Canelo before. He's fought guys who are bigger than him, taller than him, with longer reaches over and over and over again. And Canelo's going to move forward, move forward, move forward. And the things that Canelo does when he fights people is he takes a lot of shots to the elbows, to the shoulders, to the hip, everywhere except for the head. He goes low body. He will plod forward, and he's going to hit you everywhere. And you don't think about how those punches actually impact the fighter as a fan because you just watch like, oh, this is boring. But when you couple it over a 12-round period, it wears a guy out. When you hit a guy in the shoulder so many freaking times, after the 20th time being hit in the shoulder, now the guy can't lift his arm up. And it's like, oh, now his arm doesn't work, so he can't throw punches the same. It goes the same for when he hits the guy in the hip, and now the guy can't turn the same after he's been hitting the hip 30 straight times. So these things over a 12-round period have a way of wearing a guy out, which is why a lot of the fights that Canelo has don't really end early, but typically 6 through 10 is where he seems to have this big advantage over people. You know, he gets a lot of decisions, no doubt about it. There's been a lot of decisions. His last 7 fights have been via unanimous decision, but you could see when he was pouring it out, when he was getting better, and he progressively seems to get better as the fight moves on because his opponent can't bounce around as much and fatigue is setting in and the other guy's getting tired and now he's becoming more of a stationary target. Canelo just keeps on coming. You go back to the Caleb Plant fight, to the Billy Joe Saunders fight. He wore those guys out. So then all of a sudden it was like bop, and the fight is wrapped. So is there a possibility of unanimous decision? Absolutely. However, there's the flip side of it. Terence Crawford's conditioning. If his conditioning is on point and he has the ability to move around for 12 rounds, then I think now Crawford has a great advantage because he has a quickness advantage, he has a length advantage. He is fundamentally sound and very technical. And again, I'm a big fan of Terence Crawford. And if you ask me who I want to win, I want Terence Crawford to win this fight. I think if Terence Crawford wins this fight, he could arguably go down as the greatest boxer in history. He has that ability by beating Canelo Alvarez. When you think about jumping up in weight classes like this, I mean, this guy just a few years back was fighting at 140, 135, whatever it was. It wasn't that long ago where he was fighting at a weight like that. And now you're seeing this man fighting at a weight this high. You haven't seen a guy jump weight classes like this since Roy Jones jumped up to heavyweight. And that honestly did not help his career because I don't think he ever recovered from jumping up in weight class like that. But this fight, man, this is a fight of the ages, man. This is a fight that we all are going to be glued in front of our TVs. It's on Netflix. You're going to have 80 million people watching this fight. This is going to be the most watched combat sports event in our lifetimes, more than likely. It will be the most watched boxing event ever. I can't even think of anyone that would be more than this. I'm thinking you're gonna have. I mean, I think they had 60 some odd million people watching Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. I think that Netflix better be ready to have their servers working because I think this fight will outdo that fight. And of course, that wasn't really a fight. That was an exhibition of bullshit. This is a real fight. This is two champions, heights of their career, a fight for the ages. And hell, I'll dare I say it, could this be just the first fight of multiple? It could be that's a possibility in itself. I don't think Canelo Alvarez would accept losing. If he loses, I can't imagine he sits here and says, I don't want a rematch. If Crawford loses, I can't imagine he says, I don't want a rematch. There's been some stuff that's come out that, where Crawford may be having some shoulder issues and he's addressed it sarcastically. Don't know if they're true or not. It's always a possibility. You have no idea. Stuff gets out, if it's real or not, or if it's done to play games. You never know about this stuff in boxing. And you're hoping that he is really okay and there isn't any issues because you don't want to hear excuses after a fight that, oh, my shoulder was busted, but I couldn't pull out of the fight because of all that was invested into the fight. You don't want to hear something like that. But man, both these guys weighed in today at 167.5. And like I was saying, again, a year ago, if you had asked me this question, I would say that Canelo's going to win this fight rather handily. But when you see these guys next to each other, you're seeing that Canelo's not really a much bigger guy, not much bigger than him. And you're seeing Crawford thicken up as these press conferences have gone on, these face-offs have happened. You've seen Crawford get bigger. And I think that's key. I mean, how much of that weight is natural weight and muscle, and how much, how does he carry that extra weight in the ring? Does it slow him down a little bit? That is a big question that will be answered tomorrow night. It will be answered tomorrow night. If you ask me again today who I think wins the fight, I got to say Canelo Alvarez via unanimous decision. I don't see Crawford beating him via unanimous decision. I think if Crawford wins, he has to put Canelo out. I think he's got to put him out. And those are my thoughts. I like Canelo via unanimous decision. Last year, I would have taken Canelo via knockout because I just thought he was too big. But I see the size difference isn't as glaring as I thought it was as the way because you see Canelo hit guys and he hits guys, it's just different. There's a different level of power. And I didn't see Crawford have much impact on his last opponent at 54. So I don't see how he's going to have a huge, I don't know. I don't see him having a huge impact with punches on Canelo. If he can move around for 12 and keep at distance and jab and 1-2 him and keep moving for 12, then yeah, I guess he has a shot to win a decision. But it's hard for me to imagine that Crawford does not get tired at some point and Canelo's nonstop pressure and those punches to the shoulders, those punches to the hips, the punches to the elbows don't eventually wear Crawford out a little bit. I mean, these are just my thoughts. Like I said, I want Crawford to win. I think Canelo gets the job done via unanimous decision. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. Let me know y'all thoughts. Love to hear what you have to say. This is Combat Corner, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. Come on now.
Up and down through the blood and the sweat. Guarantee you can know I'm a threat. Up and down through the